Ladies and gentlemen, November 27, 2019, this is Salon. Obama privately vowed to intervene in primary to stop Bernie Sanders from winning. Okay, so not Debbie Wasserman Schultz resigning, but now you have this. This is even more overt. They're even cheating Bernie Sanders in a more overt, brazen manner. ABC News, April 17th, 2019. Bernie Sanders can't beat Donald Trump in 2020. Obama campaign manager Jim Messina. Okay. Not only that, you have the November, President Obama stated he would intervene. In April, President Obama, through his campaign manager, said he would that Bernie could not win. And then, the other day, it was January 11th, 2020, Obama campaign guru Trump would love to run against Bernie. And they go so far as to say, in an interview with Politico, Jim Messina predicted that Trump would exploit Sanders' stamp of socialism in battleground states needed to defeat Trump, keep control of the House, and have a shot at winning the Senate. So not only would he lose to Trump, according to President Obama, and that's not Jim Messina, President Obama is communicating through Jim Messina twice since April, and then once through Politico. So three times President Obama stated he would not only intervene, but that Bernie could not win, and that he would give Congress to the Republicans. Okay. Then you have Warren, who completely fabricated a quote from Bernie Sanders that people on the left are eating up because they needed something. Why am I saying this as a Trump supporter? Record low Black and Latino unemployment. Record low if you look at the St. Louis Fed. Look at the charts. The unemployment rate for Latino and Hispanic men is below the national average. First time in what definitely never happened in President Obama's administration or Bush administrations. So, the unemployment rate for Latino and Hispanic men is below the national average. The national average is at a record low. There's a record highs in the stock market. That's not a great indicator, but when you couple that with record lows in unemployment, and then you couple that with household median income going up, wages are rising, according to the New York Times. Every quarter, jobs reports beat estimates. First Step Act. You have the first president to step foot in North Korea. You have, we didn't have, thank God, a widespread military conflict with Iran. What happened to all the doomsday scenarios? There was no apocalyptic Armageddon because Trump is not President Obama who destroyed Libya. But then you have Elizabeth Warren, and he wants to bring home Americans. That's his stated goal. He wants to bring home Americans. The reason I wrote 100 articles in The Hill, The Huffington Post, and Salon, one of the biggest reason, is that I believed that Bernie Sanders would bring home Americans. Trump is on his way to doing that. Removed soldiers from a hot spot, and then Democrats and media said, "Oh my God, how could you?" Now he just in an interview with Laura Ingraham, he's like, "Yeah, I'm open to bringing home all Americans." And we need to. But Elizabeth Warren just now stated in a press release, "I thought a woman could win." He disagreed. I have no interest in discussing this private meeting any further because Bernie and I have far more in common than our differences on punditry. His campaign is done. Bernie Sanders' campaign is absolutely done. It's over. And I don't say this with glee. I'm trying to explain to people the insidious, nefarious nature of a political party that you are banking on to allow your candidate to win. Now, I was naive. I'll admit that. The Huffington Post called me the biggest Bernie Sanders booster on the internet. The Washington Post called me the unofficial scribe of Sanders' most hardcore voters. I was naive. I thought the Democratic Party wanted to win. They do not. They will lose again with Clinton. Clinton will become the nominee. This is the second election. I will be 100% right. I was stating Clinton was unelectable. NPR quoted me and Nate Silver. NPR quoted me and Nate Silver below in the pinned comment. Okay? Just check below. I was quoted in NPR. 538 said Trump wouldn't be GOP nominee. I stated that Clinton would lose swing states. She was unelectable in swing states, therefore unelectable. Guess who was right? The NPR article is in the description and also in the pinned comment. Look it up below. The issue here is that Bernie Sanders' campaign is done. I don't have Twitter. I do not have Twitter. I don't have Facebook. But I look and see what people are talking and saying. The sentiment, the zeitgeist. And it's the typical, I knew Bernie was this way. I knew I wouldn't vote for Bernie Sanders. But look what he allowed with Tulsi Gabbard and Andrew Yang. Look what he allowed to be done to him. What happened to the $200 million that was siphoned from hardworking people in 2016? Did he back the DNC fraud lawsuit? No. Bernie Sanders, God bless him, good human being, doesn't like to fight back against a system that he claims to be fighting. Why do you think Bloomberg and Tom Steyer are there? Billionaires are not afraid of Bernie. Warren, I don't have any direct evidence that Warren is there only to split Bernie's movement into two, which is now a giant bowel movement. But let me tell you something. There's no direct evidence, just like there's no direct evidence on impeachment. Just like there's no direct evidence that Trump even withheld military assistance. The Associated Press states there's no direct evidence. 538 talked about there's no direct evidence. That's below in the description section. The Washington Post even stated there was no crime within the articles of impeachment. Everything revolves around their election chances because the neuroses of the DNC emails be actually showing how nefarious they were. Well, then, you know what? It's another... The Russians hacked the DNC because of highly confident assessments from the ODNI report. And if you don't know what the ODNI or DHS reports are, look them up. The intelligence reports come with warranty disclaimers. They're not even certain. The intelligence officials that were indicted were based on CrowdStrike's assessment. The indictment, it says Company 1. Company 1 is CrowdStrike, not the U.S. government. Bernie Sanders' campaign is done, over. Unfortunately, well, I should say, you know what? Thank God Trump won. Bernie would have won in 2016. I would have been right, but they cheated him. That was the year for Bernie Sanders for a populist message. The economy is great now. Populist message is not going to work when the economy is fantastic. And when you have a president who's going up against a corrupt intelligence community, going up against corrupt media, going up against corrupt Hollywood, going up against corrupt Democrats. That's what Trump is doing. He fights. Bernie doesn't fight. He panders. He panders and then loses again and gets cheated again. 3 times I explained to you President Obama. 3 times. It's not Debbie Wasserman Schultz now. Clinton is going to be nominee. She runs the political machine. But President Obama is the most admired person in the Democratic Party. Okay? He's the most influential for things that don't have to do with, like, nefarious cheating. Well, I mean, he was a part of the cheating also, and he was a part of setting up and framing President Trump with a dossier. And then they say, well, you know what? Trump hasn't been exonerated. That dossier not only was complete fantasy, debunked nothing, but 17 times, they falsified information and deceived FISA judges just to get the dossier that Clinton purchased against Trump. Now, you want to know the Bernie dossier is Elizabeth Warren. I thought a woman could win. He disagreed. I have no interest in discussing this private meeting any further. Then Bernie Sanders continues to pander. What I did say that night was that Donald Trump is a sexist and a racist and a liar who would weaponize whatever he could. That's what they're saying about you, Bernie, because you said the same things about Trump and it wasn't true about Trump. It wasn't true about Trump. No, it wasn't. Trump never said both sides were had fine people. He never said that. He never, ever said that. That's why you never watch the clip or the tape where he condemns infinite times. It's never enough. But when you treat Trump In the same manner, when you look at him and you say, well, CNN's saying this, and MSNBC is saying this, and ABC News is saying this, and the journalists are spinning what Trump said, and they spin what he says all the time. Guess who was kicked out for promoting violence? Two Democratic operatives in 2016. Then they said, oh my goodness, campaign rallies. This is a precursor to all the terrible times in world history. It was the Democratic operatives. What is it, through James O'Keefe, the video, who had to resign in disgrace for promoting violence? It was DNC Debbie Wasserman Schultz, who had to resign in disgrace. It was Donna Brazile, who gave debate questions. And who wrote in Politico there was a secret agreement. You think all this changed? Bernie Sanders knows. He either knows that he's a pawn being utilized to funnel votes back into the Democratic Party, just like the wonderful people at the corporation that was given $20 million from a venture capital firm. $20 million from venture capital. And then the guy runs for Congress, and then Bernie endorses him, then unendorses him. Bernie Sanders cannot even endorse a person for more than a day without succumbing and pandering to the backlash. But his campaign is done. You had gossip and hearsay. Elizabeth Warren is not telling the truth. Almost certainly she's lying. Almost certainly. Bernie was almost certainly talking about Clinton, and then she is saying, well, a woman. Well, Clinton's a woman, right? That's what Democrats always do. They always deceive by bending the truth, or they just overtly lie. So it's a lie through omission, or it's just an overt deception. If you're voting for Bernie Sanders, if you're giving money to Bernie Sanders, he ain't going to win. And I say this as somebody who gave, in my way, my heart and soul for a certain time period for a person I thought would be like Trump. Just, take the media away from it. Trump is a really bad racist. If there's record low Black and Latino unemployment, the lowest unemployment rate ever for Hispanic and Latino men, below the national average, signs criminal justice reform legislation, begins a process of peace between North and South Korea. Okay? He's a really bad, bigoted person. And if you want to talk immigration, President Obama's record on that is horrendous. And Trump already stated that he would go ahead and give Dreamers citizenship. He just wanted money for the wall, which he's going to get anyway from the military funds. But you look at what's taking place right now. The momentum that Bernie Sanders had. He has to win Iowa and New Hampshire. What? The whole thing's nonsense. Clinton is going to be the nominee. It's all going to be for Clinton, just like it was in 2016. I wrote in the Huffington Post, Clinton 2020 is a reality. Get ready for 8 years of Trump. But you have 3 times President Obama literally intervened. Even though he said he would intervene, he did intervene 3 times to stop Bernie Sanders in, 6 months or so? Since April, so 7 months, whatever. 7 or 8 months. And then you have this complete lie. I mean, he did not say that women... Okay, Bernie Sanders never, ever, 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 ever said that he doesn't think a woman can win. That's not who Bernie Sanders is. Bernie Sanders is to the contrary. He's the type of person who will pander. He's the type of person at the end of the day who will pander. Now, he wasn't always a person who had pandered, but now he is, because politics has changed. And now they're cheating him with the same methods they used against Trump, which were the methods they used against him in the very beginning. They said he honeymooned in Russia. What is this McCarthy-era nonsense that Democrats talk about? You see journalists saying, how was the trip to Russia? You sold 20% of U.S. Okay, President Obama failed to veto 20% of U.S. uranium capacity to the Kremlin. It was never investigated. Nobody was ever exonerated. How many Clinton Foundation officials were issued a subpoena? How about nobody? So John Huber never investigated. Clinton wasn't exonerated, but Trump was exonerated. There was no evidence of anything, and they utilized the Steele dossier purchased by Clinton to get to Trump. Pay-to-play schemes where money flowed into the Clinton Foundation, where, she used the server to hide her communication. That's so easy, but But Bernie never made 2 and 2. He never put 2 and 2 together. He never said, "Oh, I have enough of your emails." Okay, good. So you have enough of her emails. Now you said that a woman couldn't become president. Oh, how do we know? Because Elizabeth Warren said that. Are you still happy that you didn't want to talk about her emails? You still happy that you're pandering and using the same nonsense against Trump that they? This is funny. Okay, one of the TYT pundits runs for Congress, utilizes the media against Trump, all the media narrative. He worked with Russia. Then when the New York Times and Vox or whatever, the media goes after him, he says, "Oh my God, corrupt media." Well, that's the same thing that you were using against Trump. Same thing with Bernie. Bernie Sanders runs and says, and they go after him before they go after Trump, or they go after him the same way. Then they use the same nonsense, innuendo, hearsay, gossip against Trump. They spin his words. He said both sides. No, he didn't. He didn't need bigots to vote for him. He won states that went twice for Bill Clinton and twice for President Obama. Michigan and Wisconsin. Okay, Michigan and Pennsylvania haven't voted for a Republican since 1988. Wisconsin since 1984. They voted for Bill Clinton twice, and then they voted Trump over Clinton. And Clinton will lose again. They don't care about losing. Democrats do not care about losing. That's what I'm trying to tell people. I found this out the hard way. The pundits now are like, "Oh yeah, Bernie." They didn't get hit pieces by the Daily Beast and Raw Story and every other publication that serves as an extension for the Democratic Party. They didn't get hit pieces. Their articles weren't going viral. My writing was going viral in the Huffington Post, Salon, The Hill. I wrote a Cleveland Plain Dealer article, Jerusalem Post, all because I said, look, there's Bernie Sanders and there's a criminal, and she'd never been exonerated. Peter Strzok, who said, "We will stop Trump." By the way, she was investigated, as was Trump, by FBI agents who stated they will stop Trump. We will stop Trump. Could you imagine if they said, "We will stop Clinton," and then Clinton got a special counsel against her and indicted? They would say it was going after their political opponent. When they don't investigate and they cover everything up, and Peter Strzok deletes 5 references to gross negligence, which is exactly the way it's written in U.S. Code 793F, a legal statute regarding the criminal acts that owning a server with how did they transfer the top secret intelligence? Does anybody know? Clinton had top secret and special access program intelligence on servers. Fact. Then they found classified information on Huma Abedin's husband's laptop. Fact. To make everything morally relative, the New York Times wrote an article. It says, Trump gave classified intelligence to the Russians. How do we know? An anonymous source says it. So the anonymous source from the New York Times is just like the fact that Clinton was running private servers for 5 years, completely autonomous, running on Microsoft Exchange software. Even Michael Hayden and Robert Gates stated that it's almost certainly hacked, and James Comey also stated that also. How are they able to transfer and migrate top secret intelligence from intranets within the United States government? I know this is too much for you people on the far left who don't care about actual, the reason Bernie Sanders was cheated. The Clinton email server cover-up is one of the reasons Bernie was cheated. The fabricated Russia hoax and myth is one of the reasons Bernie was cheated. Okay? If you fall in line, guess who's leading you? Clinton and the Democratic Party, the people who run the Democratic Party. It ain't going to be a bunch of angry people on social media. They don't care. At the end of the day, most Bernie Sanders supporters, even if he's cheated again, obviously, his campaign's basically ended. His campaign is done. You think they're going to end with this Elizabeth Warren fabricated quote? They're going to bring up his essay that he wrote. And social media is even more warped than it was in 2016. Wait till they get a hold of rehashing and reliving that essay. Okay? Is it fair? No. But Bernie Sanders didn't even back the TYT candidate because of something he said. So now he's going to say, hey, you can't not back me because of something I said. The left is completely out of it. They're completely done. They believe nonsense regarding Bernie Sanders. Let's just say Bernie Sanders is the best thing for them. Okay? They would believe nonsense. Fabricated Elizabeth Warren quotes. Why? Because you utilize that against Trump. But the point is this. You live by hearsay and gossip, you will perish by hearsay and gossip. Bernie Sanders promoted the myth that Trump worked with Russia, and now he's getting it you know where, because now he said something, even though, what do you mean I said? What do you mean I said women can't become president? I never said that. Warren, thanks so much for running. Oh, and by the way, thanks for your Medicare for All plan. That everyone said, well, I guess we can't have Medicare for All now. So not only did Warren completely fabricate a quote, but she couldn't even explain how she'd pay for Medicare for All, which, by the way, they're not even interested in. All of this, okay, the most passionate vocal supporters on the left are a small, relatively small group. Most are, I'm with her crowd. The majority of the Democratic Party is the I'm with her crowd. They will flock, no problem. And they will make the majority of Bernie Sanders supporters vote for Clinton again. Because the worst thing in the world is being H.A. Goodman or a Trump supporter or whatever. But when you have the most vocal people on social media being on the left, what do you think happens when their favorite candidate is cheated? Do they fight back and say, no, I'm not voting for you? No, only few people like me said that. And do they say, no, I'm voting for Trump because he's a great president? You strip away any tweets or personality in media, he's a great president, objectively. If Bernie Sanders had Trump's track record, he'd be one of the great presidents. Record low unemployment. Moon Jae-in of South Korea stated Trump deserves the Nobel Peace Prize. First Step Act. Record highs in the stock market. Everyone of all different backgrounds has a 401k. Well, they're doing better now. But that's coupled with record low unemployment. That's coupled with other economic indicators that are doing great. GDP on average is way better. Trump's job creation numbers eventually will dwarf President Obama's job creation numbers. People need to work. People are generating wealth of all different backgrounds. So, to Democrats, if you generate wealth, that's not as important as saying the right things. But the right things always change. How many times did, Hollywood celebrities mess up? You could think of, and they were forgiven. Bernie Sanders never said what Elizabeth Warren said that he said. That never happened. But his campaign is done because of this. Because this isn't the end. Bernie Sanders is like a wounded, animal. And all the other, lions and tigers are all going to converge. Give me your thoughts below. The campaign is done. He's not going to win. He was never going to win. They were always going to cheat him. We know this because President Obama stated that numerous times. But when you have President Obama 3 times, Elizabeth Warren making up a quote, it's all over social media now. Everyone's saying, oh, we believe that Bernie Sanders is a sexist and horrible person. How is he going? He already had that label because they unfairly accused him of pointing. This is what happens, Bernie, when you pander to the most duplicitous, insidious, nefarious people. This is what happens. Trump fights. Trump fights Brennan. He fights Clinton. He fights the media. He fights Hollywood. And you don't like his personality. Well, the personality of people going after him, they're not, wonderful and pure as the driven snow either. And by the way, Rand Paul has stated he wants to hear from Hunter Biden and the intelligence operative. So you're seeing people fight. And there's nothing worse. There's nothing worse that Democrats dislike than someone who fights. That's why they were okay with Bernie Sanders, because he just rolled over and that's it. Now he's kind of showing some spark. They make up a quote. Campaign's done. And I don't say this with glee. It's kind of sad. Even though I'm a Trump supporter, I know very well Trump is going to win. He's going to defeat Clinton. Like I stated in the Huffington Post, Clinton 2020 is a reality. Get ready for 8 years of Trump. This was all about Clinton. The Steele dossier, Mueller, impeachment. It was all for Clinton. It wasn't for Biden. Biden's campaign is done too. But it makes me feel bad that so many good people are being duped. So many good, idealistic people have lost friends. They're on the left, okay? They're on the left. Your Medicare for All plan is not as good as my Medicare for All plan. Oh, how many Tulsi Gabbard supporters have lost friends? How many Andrew Yang supporters have lost friends? Because the left is just as maniacal as the I'm with her crowd, which is the most maniacal. These people have traded religion, zealotry, for politics. Bernie is not only being cheated, he's being cheated in plain sight. This is worse than 2016. This is worse than 2016. Give me your thoughts below. Check out H.A. Goodman's other channel. And again, I don't take any glee from this. It's Bernie Sanders who should apologize for getting in bed with the Democratic Party that was just utilizing him anyway. And after they were done with him, because they're already done with him now, that's why they're going after him. After they were done with him, you have enough people who are so demented and have derangement issues regarding Trump that they'll vote for Clinton no matter what. Even if when they know that Bernie was not only cheated but also insulted and denigrated. And that is the most insidious thing of all. The one person that people love and respect, Bernie Sanders, was not only cheated, he's been insulted and his name has been disparaged and tarnished. And what are you going to do to fight back? You'll vote for Clinton. Oh, yes, you will. You don't want to be H.A. Goodman. You don't want to be a Trump supporter. You don't want to help Trump win again. Oh, my God, the record low unemployment. Oh, you can't have that. Give me your thoughts below. Everything I said would happen is happening. Everything I said would happen. And it's sad. Give me your thoughts. Thank you. Check out H.A. Goodman's other channel right now. Let's get it to 20,000 subs. Thank you.